Okay, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. We are started on time. Thank God for that. I hope you guys who are listening are having a wonderful morning or wonderful night. Thank you guys for tuning in, or people that was come in shortly. I appreciate the love. Um, Welcome to the Take It Home podcast, where we talk about wrestling and we talk about a lot of wrestling related topics. Before I go on, if you're on YouTube or even if you're on Facebook, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube with the Take It Home podcast, or you can, and please subscribe to the C3 Ultimate Wrestling channel as well on YouTube. We cracked 100 on the Take It Home podcast, and we want to crack 100 on C3 Ultimate Wrestling as we're getting ready for Kingdom Come. As you guys know, I got to do my shout outs and my promotion. Got to do the promos and everything like that. Make sure if you're in the Wisconsin area, or if not, if you just want to see some great wrestling, May 28th. May 28th, we got some good wrestling from Now That's Wrestling, a Made to Remember. Some good people here, some great people here, some great, fantastic wrestling. This is my next scheduled show. Great time, great fun. What's going on, Atlas? I hope everything is going on great with you. Also, Kingdom Come is June 18th, 2022. Make sure you bring your family, bring your people and everything. I'm going to go through the card for a little bit. Well, for a few seconds, as this is our main event. Miles Mercer versus Just Amazing. Aaron Stone, Jackson P. Larkin for the C3O Urban Championship. Myself versus Cassidy Keith. The host, Kevin Young Sr. Marcelo Spade versus Mike Valentine. This is going to be a good show. And a mystery team versus Legit. Now, we have one more match that will be announced tomorrow on Friday. So tune in to us on Facebook. Tune in to us on YouTube. I'm going to start dropping a lot of content for the show because the show is a little over a month away, but I want to make sure everybody's prepared and want to have fun and everything like that. Okay, so let's go into the topic, right? This is a hot topic that's a lot of wrestlers and wrestlers who are on social media, they don't like talking about, because they don't want to feel like they're complaining. They don't want to feel like they're ungrateful. But I do think this is a topic that needs to be talked about. And Bryant, from the previous live, he said something about it, but then like he didn't want to really talk about it. And I was like, no, I'll talk about it. It's no big deal. If you guys have any ideas or topics that you guys want to talk about, I'll talk about them. So this is a topic that gets under a lot of wrestlers' skin, or anybody's skin. Maybe if you're at work or you're doing something, or you're playing on a basketball team or anything like that. Main topic, favoritism in pro wrestling. Now, as you guys can see, I have Buzz Lightyear and I have Woody from Toy Story. And if you know the story, Andy, his favorite toy at one time was Woody. And then eventually when Buzz Lightyear came into the scene, Buzz became his favorite toy. And it was like, despite the fact, regardless of what Woody did, Buzz was the guy that Andy loved. And not only Andy liked, but the other toys, Andy's toys liked as well. And it was like, it didn't matter how hard Woody worked to be Andy's favorite toy again, it just did not work. Buzz was the ace at the time. So that's how some people feel in wrestling, is that sometimes people feel like Woody, that people are giving somebody else praise and thanks and time and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter what you do or how hard you work. You see that these people have favoritism. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about why that sucks and why this could also be a misunderstanding on somebody who has favorites or anything like that. You get what I'm saying? I think with this topic, a lot of wrestlers don't like talk. Well, they want to talk about it, but they don't, because they don't want to mess up their network. You know, sometimes when a wrestler comments on a certain situation, like people just picking certain people or pushing the wrong person. They feel like they're pushing them the wrong person. Sometimes they feel like they're they think that bookers or promoters think they're entitled, or who are you to say something like that? Or maybe you're talking about their company, or maybe that company that you're talking about feel attacked. You get what I'm saying? Like, some people don't want to be blackballed from the business, because that has happened to a lot of people who tell their frustrations on social media about saying that they worked hard, and people overlook them because of their friend who's the champ or something like that, or they feel like they're held back or whatever. Shout out to Kevin Young, yellow pill. I'm not scared to talk about these kind of topics, because let's just talk about them. I think Bryant was not the only person that's done this before. I remember a couple other guys, they would complain about something, and then when people would actually like support what they're saying, sometimes they backtrack because they don't want to make it seem like they're entitled. They don't want to mess up their bookings and stuff like that. So let's talk about it. Let's go into it, right? Let's talk about like the negative effects of favoritism, right? So favoritism, like I said before, it's not just in wrestling, it's just in life. It's in jobs, it's in competitions, it's in basketball teams, it's in sporting and stuff like that. But with wrestling being predetermined and stuff like that, it kind of weighs heavy on some people. You get what I'm saying? Some people don't like that. It's like, no matter how hard I try or whatever like that, you make this person represent your company because you're best friends with them and stuff like that. And I've seen it. And I've seen that some people were not that one, was the one that should have been pushed or had a title opportunity or whatever like that. They needed practice. What's going on, Chris? Good to hear from you. You have people that weren't ready to be a champ, or they can't wrestle, but for some reason the promoter booked this person. Now they push this person strong. Now this person might be the promoter's child, could be the husband, could be the wife, could be the cousin, could be the grandma. All right, I'm going a little too far with grandma. I don't know, grandma should really be wrestling, but anyway, this happens, and sometimes it stings wrestlers because everybody wants to be on top. Everybody wants to be the best wrestler and everything like that. So when you're working for a company and then they're pushing their favorites, and their favorites may not take the business serious, because I've seen this before. I've seen it countless times to where somebody didn't really care for the business. They just wanted it to shine. Or even if you see like WWE, right? How sometimes they used to book, and they still do. They used to book models. They used to try to train models and stuff like that. And then, like, even going off of what Ember Moon said about they wanted her to be more sexy or whatever like that. And they use like Mandy Rose as an example. And, no diss to Mandy, but I always felt like Mandy wasn't that solid of a wrestler, but she does look good. And WWE is also guilty of pushing people because they look good, or it's a certain demographic, or they were very attractive, but it was just like they shouldn't even be in the ring. They should practice or whatever like that. So this is something that has always happened in wrestling. And sometimes it's obvious. A lot of people are loving Roman Reigns as a heel and everything, with being the tribal chief and Roman Reigns and stuff like that. But that was a point where people booed him out the building. They thought he was boring and stuff like that. And they also knew that his family ties, being an NOI and everything like that. And then even John Cena, who was beating a lot of the legends and future legends and Hall of Famers, and people got upset with that. So, WWE has it. AEW has it as well. I don't think AEW is exempt from favoritism and stuff being obvious, because these guys who were the champs at the time, they had a position in the company. That wasn't just wrestling. They were VPs. They were also out there scouting. They were doing a whole bunch of things. And with that, sometimes people like overlook that because they loved AEW so much, because it was the new kid on the block. It was the Buzz Lightyear, right? To the wrestling world, AEW, to a lot of people, was the Buzz Lightyear. People got sick of Woody, which was WWE. So Buzz Lightyear, they brought something fresh to a lot of people. It was something new. It was something different. You get what I'm saying? So that's how it was with AEW. But then, like, you've seen like some of these guys who were champions they were EVPs and stuff like that. And it was just like, okay, you're the company's favorite. And sometimes it doesn't matter if they do work hard or if you feel like they deserve it. Sometimes it is the favoritism, or sometimes in companies like WWE, it's nepotism, or sometimes even in Impact Wrestling, it's just a thing of favoritism. Favoritism in wrestling is something that's not going to go away. You know, I think we need to realize that in life. If it's not going away in life like that, it's really not going to go away in wrestling. So to the wrestler that says, you know, I'm sick of wrestling for a company that's doesn't treat me right, you know, I would say make sure you don't have an attitude first. But also, if you feel like they're treating you wrong, go somewhere else. Find somewhere that you feel more appreciated. But you have to realize that you may not be the number one for a lot of companies. It's the truth, you know. Jamie says the biggest one was Spike Huber, who married Dick the Bruiser's son-in-law. So that's some old school stuff. Going into that, it's a lot of things. Even in the Texas territory, you know, we all love the Von Erichs, but remember, their dad was the promoter for the company, Fritz. So it's Fritz or Fitz. It's one of those. I don't want to disrespect this name. I think it's Fritz, but I'm not 100% sure. You know, even like looking at Young Rock, the episodes, and you see how his grandma was running the promotions and stuff like that, and look at everything that was going on. So these are the kind of things that happen. So like even favoritism and nepotism, AEW, even Cody Rhodes, right? You know, everybody was happy for Cody Rhodes until a lot of stuff started happening and people started not liking him. Oh, then you heard the rumors of him losing his power. And then like you even had Brandy Rhodes, who was beating legit wrestlers in matches and stuff like that. And I was like, you know, Brandy definitely needed some work wrestling wise, but nobody's going to tell her or Cody that because they were scared of their job and they didn't want to butt heads or anything. Fritz, thank you, John. I could have sworn it was Fritz. Thank you. Shout out to you, John. Back in the old school era, families in power kept it in house to protect their territory, and that's a thing too. And that's something I'm actually going to lean into on the positive side, talking about favoritism, right? Because I'm gonna go into that later. But so with that being said, there may be reasons why it's favoritism. Some people run companies, or they decide to run companies because they are sick of the same people being pushed. Now that's nothing against no company. That's nothing against no performer at all or whatever like that. But trust me, you have a lot of companies like, hey, I can do this different. I can do it better. Or, hey, you missing out. You have a lot of talent that could be the next big star, or you could do more things with their talent. You get what I'm saying? That's like one of the things that I did. Like I could sit here and be like, okay, well, I feel like every company I worked for, I gave 100%. And it's like, okay, some I won belts, some I have not. And some I felt like I was held back. And it wasn't that I wanted a championship match or a belt. I just felt like I had more to prove. And sometimes I didn't get that. So either they would stop booking me or I would stop going. It's no vendetta against them or anything like that. That kind of stuff happens. You know, it happens, you know, to the wrestler that's working hard now and feel like they're overlooked. Sometimes it is good to look at other companies, but make sure that is something that you want to do. This is a serious thing to try to do, to invest in yourself. But you do have to realize that every company will not make you the champion. And it's not the saying that you're not good enough or anything like that. It's just people have plans. People have storylines. People have things they want to do. Like with me, I have a whole bunch of my storylines together and stuff like that. And I don't want nothing ruined off of that. That's just how I want to operate my company. And some people do it. And then you do have some people who just push and book their friends who do need training, but they're not going to tell their friends that because they're their friends. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes it's just a waste of time to try to talk to people and stuff like that. And you know that these people don't care. And it'll be the guys that don't come for ring crew. They come in late. They got attitudes. They smell like alcohol. They smell like other stuff and things like that. And then when it's time to wrestle, they don't want to work with you. That kind of stuff happens. And it's unfortunate with favoritism and stuff like that. You have a lot of hungry guys out there that want to wrestle and show what they can do, but you have them lose to your friend who doesn't know how to wrestle or knows one good move, and then that's it. Everything else is sloppy. But then, you're confronted by that. And even fans nowadays know the inner workings and the backstage stuff about who's your friend, who's your best friend, and stuff like that, because you put it on Facebook and it messes it up. I've seen good shows, and then the main event was bad because they just didn't want to tell a friend that they needed to work. And then it sucks because some people do show up for ring crew, and some people do give promos, and some people do have a promo picture. Some people have all of that stuff, and then you go in, and then you're going against the guy who knows that they're comfortable. And that's the bad thing with wrestling sometimes, is that when some people get real comfortable at the spot that they're in, sometimes they get careless, and sometimes they don't want to get better because they feel like in their position of the company, they don't need to get better or anything like that. They feel like they're doing something or whatever like that. That's not a good thing. As a promoter and a booker, you should want to have some of the best talent you have. And I book a lot of my friends and stuff like that, but I consider a lot of people my friends. And in almost every show I have a debut. I try to do things different. I try to do things fresh. John does the same thing as well. You try to do things fresh because you just don't want the same old. But I can't speak for other people's companies like that. If that's what they want, that's what they want. But sometimes their favoritism is obvious. You know what I'm saying? And favoritism, it doesn't really fall just in like a promoter and just a promoter or a booker, right? It can go for wrestlers as well. Some wrestlers have options on where they want to wrestle at. So like, hey, if I want to book you, but then your favorite company is Chicagoland, and then you're just like, okay, well, I'm going to go to Chicagoland before I go to a C3 because I like what John does over there. Or if it's the other way around, I like what Classic does over there. That happens. You get what I'm saying? And, sometimes that's a good or a bad thing too, but it depends on what relationship you have with the person, with the company and stuff like that. And it's about going about it certain ways. If you're supposed to be booked at the show and then the day of the show, oh, I'm supposed to be booked here, or I forgot, or I didn't tell you, that's unprofessional. That's not a good thing. So it's not just always on promoter who shows favoritisms. Wrestlers can do it, and sometimes they feel like one company may be a bigger opportunity. John says, I always look at my roster and want guys that aren't wrestling. What did it say? OP? I don't know I think aren't wrestling. I think it meant okay. I'm not 100% sure, John. But I'm sure you answer. But going back into it, you do have some wrestlers. Guys like Chris know that we have to have a different flavor of ice cream compared to what we're doing. That's a good thing. That's a great comparison, John. And I appreciate that. It's just that you should want to change it up. You do have a lot of wrestlers who are very popular, and they do sell tickets, and they sell a lot of merch and everything when they wrestle. But you can make it different by having them go against a different person instead of the person that they just wrestle somewhere. I've always been like, why, if this person wrestled, if this was their main event at one company and that, why bring those two people back in for your opener? You know what I'm saying? One, that could be a sign of disrespect to them. And two, it's just like, they probably won't have the same match, but it's just like, you didn't have much of a risk, right? So like, think about it. When that year that Ricochet and Will Ospreay, they had that thing in Japan, right? Everybody and their mama talked about it, regardless if they liked it or not. But after that, man, everybody booked them, and they dang near did the same thing each match. And I was like, it just started getting less and less and less special, in my opinion. A lot of people, even Vader, and a lot of people, they were very critical on it. And me, I thought the first match was okay. I didn't think it was something that like I'll just rewatch consistently. I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff personally, but I did feel like it did get a lot of views because of the internet and how everything was. But after that, They got booked everywhere. Then they were booked intergender matches with their women at the time and stuff like that. So it was just like, oh, okay. No, people were scared to be different. They just wanted to ride the wave or whatever like that. That was your favorite match. You were showing favoritism in that match, and you wanted them to try to have that same magic at your company. But little did you know that if you were consistently booking them and they were booked every month doing the same thing or everything that's similar to it, no shade to them, it wasn't worth it. Why would I spend money on this if I've already followed Ricochet or Will Ospreay on Twitter and I've seen what they've done already, and then by the time you get it, they're still doing the same thing. So yeah, favoritism is something that runs rampant in wrestling, and it's not even, and that's why I feel like I could do something a little different on that, because I can speak from different views and different perspectives and stuff like that. You know, as I'm going to my Facebook page, I made a post today, and honestly, it was intended more for a joke, but the way people received it, and when I reread it, I was like, I definitely understand, because I am a wrestler too. So I've been, I don't want to say I've had a similar situation, but I've been to this before. So for example, this was my post. Now, as you guys can see, this was the CM Punk guy, the guy who cried when CM Punk returned to wrestling. Hold on, delete this real quick. So I saw that and I was like, okay, well, let me make a meme real quick. So at the top, if you guys cannot see, it says, when you asked your friend months ago to go to your show June 26th, and they said they couldn't get the day off, only to see that they posted how excited they are to get tickets for Forbidden Door. Now, Forbidden Door is the name of AEW's event with New Japan. The date of it is June 26th. I did make sure, because I didn't just want to make just a random date. Now, a lot of people, as you can see, some people liked it. They had sad emojis. Some people had shocked emojis. So I had to reiterate that I didn't, this didn't happen to me, but I've heard of similar situations that where it has happened to other people. So people have favorite companies, and sometimes if that company is in town or if their favorite wrestler in town, they'll probably choose that over your company, and that kind of stuff happens. A couple weeks ago, I shared the wrestling flyer on a Hammond page, and somebody tagged somebody and said, hey, you might like this. And then the person was like, oh, no, I'd rather do WWE, not this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, they're missing out. You know, that's the kind of stuff that happens. People will have, I don't want to say a negative. Maybe he just didn't like what he saw. Maybe he's a loyal fan to WWE. Maybe WWE is his favorite company. And that's fine. You get what I'm saying? He's missing out. But even going back into the post that I said, you do have a lot of people that's probably had a show on June 26th, and somebody said that they couldn't make it because they couldn't get the day off. And then as of today, as many of us know, the pre-sale sold out for Forbidden Door. So a lot of people were very excited that they got the ticket. Shout out to them. And then they were very public about it. So that's a shame that somebody probably felt salty because their friend who never went to a show is going to Forbidden Door when they said they couldn't take it off. And this is why I say countless times, even in the comments, right? We've already said it. We've said that people is you might as well just try to get new fans and new people. You're better off trying to get new people to try to come to your show than your friends who say they're going to keep coming, even if they say they're wrestling fans. You know, is it painful? Yeah, but you can move on. You'll heal from it. You will heal from that kind of situation. You get what I'm saying? So favoritism. So we talked about it through the promoter and the booker. Like I said, I put both of them together. I know they're two different things. We talked about it from the wrestler, how the wrestler can do favoritism, and how the bad part about that, bad part about how a booker can do it, and then even how the fan the fan can do it too, or the friend or whatever that says that they're going to go to a wrestling show, but then they wind up never going, or they're just going to something like Forbidden Door. Now, this is nothing against AEW or New Japan or Forbidden Door. It's just the hot thing that people were talking about today. So if I know some wrestlers that got tickets to the show, shout out to them. I think it's a good business. That was the best business move for them to do it in Chicago for sure. Okay, so let's talk about what I do as far as favoritism go. As a promoter and a booker, I don't really say I have people who are my favorites, even though I have favorite people or whatever like that. And I don't really have a sense of favoritism. Jamie says, I've heard big promotions coming in and talent going instead of working the shows. And that's another thing too. If it's, hey, I'd rather go to this show because maybe their favorite wrestler or favorite company is in town. So I'm not going to do the booking that I said I was going to do because this might be once in a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? It's hit or miss. But this is my thoughts on favoritism and how I show it, if I show it. I don't think I really show it. Like I said, I'm a lovable person. I stay positive. I pray for everybody and all that. With my wrestling company, I try to make sure that they're safe and everything, check on everybody and stuff like that. That's just me. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes booker, it's not that they're showing favoritism to certain wrestlers. Sometimes these wrestlers are reliable. Oh, it's quiet now. It's real quiet now. Sometimes these wrestlers are reliable. Hey, such and such. Mike Valentine, for example, he's a very reliable wrestler and a person. And that's my bro. Shout out to him. Hey, I need you guys to share the flyer. Mike sometimes will be the first person, or he'll even say, okay, well, I'll do that. Or, hey, I need a promo. You get a promo quick. I need you there at 11 o'clock. Thank you, John. He called me a very fair promoter. I need you guys there at 11 o'clock. Some people show up at 10:30 or 10 o'clock or whatever like that. They just be outside waiting and stuff like that. So sometimes it's not a favoritism thing. Sometimes it's a reliable thing. I'd rather have reliable people on my card on the show than somebody that's just don't care about the company or don't want to do anything like that. Okay, hey, I need you to do a 5 to 7. They go out and do a 5 to 7. They're not doing nothing dangerous. They're very safe. They're doing promos. They're selling tickets. People want to see them. People have a crowd of people that want to see them wrestle and stuff like that. Reliable people. People, hey, Chris, do you need anything? Oh, you need a bag of ice? Oh, I can pick up the bag of ice and stuff like that. Stuff like bag of ice, that's not something that's like required for me to book you. But I'm just saying, sometimes like when I'm going back and forth or whatever like that, I might forget something. If my wife doesn't backdoor and get it because she has to do something else, then I'll ask somebody or whatever like that. So it's like sometimes it's not favoritism, especially on my part. It's more of reliability. Being on time, being professional, being punctual, being safe, being obedient to the time, asking does anything else, encouraging the locker room. Sometimes it is about just being reliable and stuff like that. That's why it is very dangerous to go on line and say, hey, I'm overlooked. Nobody likes me. I wrestle and I think I'm the best wrestler there. Like, you trust me, you have a lot of people that will do that kind of thing, and that low key will blackball them because some promoters will check you, or some wrestlers will check you as well and say, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And then when I came to you, when I said you should do this, you gave me an attitude. Oh, well, that's what the promoter is supposed to do. That's the worst thing to say if you want to continue to be booked, is that's what the promoter is supposed to do. If the promoter asks you to do something, as long as obviously it's not nothing out the line or abusive or anything like that, just do it. Hey, could you get this real quick? Could you fold this? Like simple stuff like that. That's showing reliability. Nowadays, especially on the independent scene, there's no professional ring crew really. There's no, unless you got that buck, that money. But there's not a lot of people who has like a ring crew that they just specifically pay and then pay wrestlers and stuff like that. Sometimes you have your wrestlers, they do it and everything like that, and it's a form of paying dues. You get what I'm saying? So you just walking around not looking at people set up because you feel like you don't need to, and then turn around and say, "Oh, well, nobody respects you." Did you respect the business? You get what I'm saying? Those are important key factors of it. John says some of those crybabies are the ones that never share a flyer, never help out, and usually have the worst ego. And that's the thing, ego. Do you think that they have favorites because those people don't have egos? And when I'm saying this, I'm not debating. I'm saying both sides. I want people to understand that I'm talking about both sides of the coin, right? You do have people who have favorites who don't care about the business and stuff like that, and they will overlook you. But at the same time, everybody can be the top dog at a company. There are a lot of companies and stuff like that you can do, that you can try and everything like that. But you just got to continue to work hard. You got people that wrestled longer than me, never had a championship, but just love the sport of wrestling. You get what I'm saying? But do you have an ego? Do you have an ego? Do you have an ego to where you're upset that you feel overlooked, or that you are overlooked to the point to where you let that mess up your opportunities? Because you have a lot of people that mess up their own opportunities because you're mad that other companies didn't see what you see in yourself. And I hate that saying, but it's true. You can't go, but you shouldn't live off of that hurt people mentality, because it doesn't work. You're going to mess up yourself at the end of the day. You'd be surprised. All it takes is a Facebook post of your attitude or something like that, and it goes viral and stuff like that. That's all people do all day anyway, is screenshot and say, okay, well, such and such has a bad attitude. And then other promoters will look at that and be like, oh, no, I'm definitely not going to put them on my card. I'm definitely not going to. And as far as the promoters who do book their friends, and their friends don't care, or they don't care, or whatever like that, or nepotism and stuff like that, that's how they day. I've seen fans boo in the independent scene. I've seen it, and it's just like you gotta. I don't want to say block it, but don't let that hold you down. You can still try to have fun or stuff like that. Some of my best matches I lost, to be honest. Some of the best matches I've ever had, it was in a losing effort, but I went out and have fun. If you want to equate being held back because you want a belt, you're going to be held back a lot. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying that in an honest way. Wrestling is not just about the moves that you can do, or how good your gear is, or how much charisma you got. Sometimes it's about time, place, and even favoritism. That's just something that's not going away. And it's like, and I respect wrestlers who do speak on these kind of terms, because there is an issue of favoritism. But at the same time, if you feel like you're not there, they don't see what you have, then you should do research, and you should do other companies. You should try to do other companies. You should try to see what you can do. You could try to see if you want to progress. Locker room, John says, locker room cancers and unsafe workers who put talent and the fans' health at risk are the ones need gone. And that's the thing. And the thing, and we've talked about this before, John, is that there's dang near no locker room because everybody has their own version of what a locker room is. Some people don't have that talent of not going to practice or training and then coming into wrestling. Like, some people need to go in and train and stuff like that. Some people need that kind of stuff. You just can't go off of, that's my best friend and I want to book him and to beat these young guys and stuff like that. Because you do have a lot of companies that have these guys who are considered dinosaurs, and they wrestle and then they can't keep up. They're tired. They're sloppy. Or it just doesn't look right. And then they'll literally blame the young guy who's listening, because they say to always listen to your vet. So then you listen to the vet, and then the vets shouldn't even be in the ring. The vets should not be in the ring. I've seen it. And then we go in the locker room, and then they mad at the rookie. All the rookie did was listen to him. Then the horrible booker mad at the rookie, and the rookie can't get booked. Horrible. That's not how you conduct business. Sometimes if that's your friend, you got to be honest with your friend. You shouldn't have to sugarcoat that kind of stuff with your friend. Hey, you almost hurt this person. If they leave with the fans, then they leave with the fans. We got to protect this wrestling business, man. It's very minimum because people want to make money. It's bad enough. It's so exposed, but now it's just like we're not even protecting it for the sake of ourselves. C3ultimatewrestling.com. But going back to the topic, favoritism is something that happens, but also reliability as well. Like, I think almost everybody that I book are very reliable. And times where they don't get booked, they told me ahead of time that they were booked at another show. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to do your show. And then they say, oh, I forgot or something like that. That happened to me one time, but that person never wrestled for C3. But we're not going into that. But going back to it, it's a way of how you do things, and it's a way of how you say things or whatever like that. You can't just get an attitude and then go on Facebook and say, I'm overlooked. Because sometimes people will tell you you're not overlooked. You just need to holler at yourself. You just need to hold the braces, hold your brakes, hold the horses. You know what I'm saying? You just need a little molding and things like that. Just make sure when you make those kind of accusations, make sure you back it up, And like I said, you have other companies. You get what I'm saying? You have other companies to where you can perfect your craft. You have training. Sometimes you need to train. You need to go to a company's train. Like if a company has a gym for training and stuff like that, you may fare better with them not overlooking you if you go to practice and stuff like that and you listen to what they have to say. Can I have that ego, man? You got it, like John said, you got to get rid of that ego. And then if you do feel like you are overlooked, and maybe you may be overlooked, find somewhere else. Invest your time in something else. Do your research. Nowadays, everybody has the internet, and it's people's platform. You can ask people. You can see what else do you need to be done and stuff like that. But know that when you do go to another company, most likely your debut, you may lose. Like, that's just, it's not a rule, but usually just expect to lose. But that don't mean that they holding you back. That might be your test. Sometimes you losing the match might be the test. And then you get upset because you felt like you was overlooked off of one match. Like, maybe if it was more matches, that would make sense. But when you try to sit there and just say you overlooked because you lose or you didn't win, you're not having fun with wrestling. You're just trying to have you're stopping your fun because you want to win all the time. That's for another topic. But yeah, I've worked with people who had favorites, and it was obvious that they were favorites. And those favorites did need to have some work. The favorites would even joke saying they need to go to the gym or they need to do something like that. I've been there before. I've been in locker rooms like that. I've seen it, But it said like it sucks, but that's just the name of the game, and that's what they want to do, and that's their prerogative. I'm not going to sit here and be like, treat your company better, treat these people better, unless they were like really, really abused. But you don't have to be in for that. I've had a lot of my friends and people that just love companies because they did their own thing. Or maybe these people who made these companies, they quit, made their own company because they wanted to push their friends and they wanted to have fun and stuff like that. I'm going off the spectrum of even, WWE and AEW. Both of them show acts of favoritism. Impact did too. A lot of companies do that. But mine, like I said, mine was more off of reliability of anything. With this, I try to, I respect everybody that does something for my company. You know what I'm saying? All of these people on here are reliable, and there's more people who couldn't make the show or whatever like that, very reliable and stuff like that. You know, I won't say I have favorites, but I have storylines that I have to do. I have to have certain people on the card. I have to have certain people here. I have to have certain things to happen. I have to have it work. So it's like if I can't book somebody for the show outside of them being booked somewhere else or they're being on vacation and stuff like that, it's not nothing personal. It's just that I'm trying to set something up. I can bring you back to another show. Not a bad thing to do is to say that you just overlooked and things like that. And I understand because some people want to have a wrestling home. A lot of wrestlers, they don't have a wrestling home, a home where they know that they're not going to be booked. They're going to be booked at almost every show. If not, they're going to have something to do. I understand that. I've been there. And when I left my home company, and then other companies were saying, okay, well, we like you, we're going to keep you, and blah, 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 blah. Then it went to, okay, well, we're just not going to book you for this show. We're going to book you for a next show. Then they'll never be booked again. Yeah, it's painful. It sucks. But you'll get over it, man. You heal from it, unless you don't want to heal from it. Healing from it is looking for another company or wrestling or trying to do your own thing. You know, I thank God that I have C3 Ultimate Wrestling. I thank God that I wrestle in Wisconsin. I thank God that I wrestle for True Privilege Wrestling. I thank God for everything else that's in the horizon with like 2 other companies that are in talk that want to talk to me. Like I'm blessed for that. I'm truly blessed to wrestle for other companies and stuff like that. And it's like what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to have fun. You know, I could be going into helping somebody get over for a storyline. It's just a part of the game. Simple. But favoritism, once again, as I'm about to head on out, it's not something that will go away anytime soon. And just because somebody has an undefeated streak doesn't mean that they're their favorite. It's just that they might be working with that person. You get what I'm saying? I don't take it that personal, really, especially for other wrestling companies, because I'm not a booker. I'm not a promoter. I don't own nothing. I don't own nothing from them. You get what I'm saying? They probably have a plan or whatever like that. You do have those sharks in the water that do want to work with just their friends or their kids or whatever like that. You have companies like that. And it is no shade, but some of us know what it is. But at the end of the day, you should just try to have fun. Do not let somebody who has favoritism, don't let that ruin why you like wrestling, why you love wrestling, why you want to wrestle. Jamie says, how do you look into talents in ring liability? How do you look into a talent? Is it reliability or liability? Sometimes with in-ring capability, if I want something done and then they do it, that works. But if they don't do something or they do something that's unsafe, because I've heard people, hey, don't do this. And then I've heard about people going and doing what they weren't supposed to do. You know, I think of, what's his name? Teddy Hart, right? A lot of people know that Teddy Hart from the Hart family. A lot of people call him talented. They call him innovative. And they call him a whole bunch of things, right? They really do call him a whole bunch of things. But there were many times where a lot of companies will say, hey, we don't want you to do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. I believe in like ROH. Was it ROH? He jumped off a cage and he wasn't supposed to, and he wound up doing it. So that's the kind of things that I'm talking about. You know, sometimes it's not about being overlooked. It's just that you didn't check your ego. You didn't think to stop. You didn't think to, you know, it might be a reason for that. You know, in the ring, a lot of moves are dangerous. So it's good to see if the moves could actually be done instead of just going out there and just doing anything. Dive out spots. Everybody's diving on people. They're literally diving on the crowd. I don't like that, but that's what they want to see, I guess. That's what the booker want them to do. That's on them at the end of the day. You get what I'm saying? I mean, with hurting talent. This is why, as a booker, it is good to look at matches. Sometimes you can see a wrestler's weakness, and sometimes you can see their strengths. So you see that they're doing a move that is very dangerous to do, and then you tell them not to do it, and then they wind up doing it. That's always a bad thing. Or even if you look at a lot of matches and stuff like that, and the wrestler hurt somebody, or you hear people saying that they got hurt, you got to investigate that. You got to check that out, because I don't think you should be booking anybody that's hurting anybody. And if you are a booker that books people, that hurts people, then that's a problem. Now, if you're with that hardcore death match stuff, that's totally different. I ain't doing it, but that's totally different. But if you're trying to have like a professional event, a heavy professional event, and you're booking these people and they're hurting people, like I've seen footage of a guy almost look like kill somebody, and he's still getting booked to this day. You know, bad attitude and all. Some people do that, man. That's just what it is. A lot of these people are booking these guys who do stupid stuff in stores and stuff like that. They're booking them against legit wrestlers. And they can really hurt themselves, or they can hurt somebody else. That's just how I look into it. Like, it's bad enough. Not bad enough. It's good enough. I got to get, insurance for the whole event. And it's just like, now I got to worry about if somebody going to hurt somebody. Like I said, haven't had a serious injury at C3 besides my own when I hurt my knee. So glad it was me over anybody else, man, because I don't see I don't know. It'd have been a hard time for me to get over it, because like I said, I try to ensure that my wrestlers are safe. But this is a risky thing that we do. You get what I'm saying? It's very, very risky. So I am glad there was no serious injuries or anything at all. So, but yeah, be your own favorite wrestler. Show favoritism to yourself. If you want to show true favoritism to yourself, since these other companies are showing favoritism to other people, invest in yourself. You can always practice. You can always be a better version of yourself, possibly. You can always do something to grow. Maybe it's something that you can change that'll make people call. That's happened to a lot of people too, to where you change something about yourself and now you're popular. Now they gotta book you. Now they need to book you. Maybe it was your tights. Maybe it was your attitude. Maybe you fixed something up. Maybe they want to actually push the younger guys, because now it was a time where the younger guys had a very hard time even getting the win. They'd always lose back and forth, back to back to back to back. When Andy messed with Buzz, he eventually started liking Woody again. So that's the thing. Favoritism, you can change. I could like one person and then the next day I'll like somebody else and want to push them or whatever like that. I don't do that. I try to keep my stuff concrete. I don't like misleading people. And that's another thing that, people shouldn't do, is mislead about what you want them to do and how you want them to do things with your company and stuff like that, because you want to be a nice person. You're not a nice person if you're not being genuine. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's not your favorite. But I'm gonna end this live on that. Don't let what a company don't see in you, don't let that define you. I'm sure there are companies you may have to drive longer, you may have to go out further than what you usually do. They'll see your worth. But you have to know your worth before anybody else. If you don't do that, then people will take advantage of you each time. You get what I'm saying? Even if you know how to wrestle and you know how to work and stuff like that. Some people see your worth and they try to devalue you. But don't think that a loss or a couple of losses devalues you. This win-loss record stuff is not a big deal to me, but I know it's a big deal to some. But it's not worth it, yo. Just let that stuff go, man. It's not worth it. And if you feel like this company is holding you back or whatever, make sure you're 100% before you make that claim. Like, talk to the booker or something. Like, don't just say that and then don't even know why. Because it might have been something you said in the locker room that messed you up, because you said something. So now you're on the crap list because your ego, or you didn't help with ring crew, or you didn't sell tickets and stuff like that. Yeah, I just can't just subscribe to like somebody going on Facebook and telling John, talking about John's company, saying, oh, well, John was unprofessional and stuff like that. Because I've been there. And I'm like, how? I just don't. You just got to be careful when you make those kind of allegations and stuff like that. You got to have evidence and proof. But like I said, I've seen it. I've seen favoritism a lot. I've seen it on independent scene, and I've seen it on the major league scene. I've seen it on a whole bunch of stuff, especially when it's family involved. We've all seen it. But don't let that take you out. I hope you guys have a wonderful morning. Get you guys some sleep. June 18th, it goes down. Tomorrow, John has today, I believe it's considered today now, but John has a very important message. I can't wait to see that. Shout out to John. Shout out to Jamie. Shout out to everybody that has listened to me. And even if you listen to me later today, much love. I love you guys. Yesterday, I was supposed to do one yesterday, but us out here in the Midwest, we dealt with a big loss. So, I just knew that some of my brothers and sisters needed to heal. So, a lot of us needed to heal about the information that we heard. Praying for his family and everything. I don't want to go into it or whatever like that, but yeah. So once again, I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning. Shout out to Sensational Shay. Love you, baby. Love you. You my favorite wrestler. You one of my favorite wrestlers. But anyway, before you go, if you have not, please subscribe to the Take It Home podcast on YouTube. Also subscribe to the C3 Ultimate Wrestling. Also check out the website, www.c3ultimatewrestling.com. Tickets are available for June 18th show through PayPal me /IamClassic. Check me out on Twitch, Classic425, and check me out on Facebook. Once again, this is Chris Classic. I'll figure out a new topic, but it's Chris Classic. Let's take it home.